So John Leguizamo, or should we be calling him John Leguizamo, is back to his old lying, deceptive ways, displaying the characteristic traits that are indicative of a tether. He's got some new PBS special where he's documenting the role that Latinos played in the creation of America, which simply put, they didn't play a role in the creation of America. America was created by one sole group of people, and that's foundational Black Americans whose ancestors died on this land, shed blood, sweat, and tears on this land, were enslaved in this land, and fought tooth and nail to knock the system of racism, white supremacy down so everyone could have a better quality of life coming into this land. See, foundational Black Americans were the most selfless people. We fought for not only our interests, but the interests of everyone else. And truth be told, looking back in hindsight, we should have kept the focus on ourselves because a lot of these other groups give a damn about no foundational Black Americans. So you see what they trying to do now. The Latinos, John Leguizamo in particular, trying to flip, remix, and colonize our history and make it for their own. And I don't respect this because they try to remove us from the equation. The focus has always been to shift us out of the history textbooks and put other people in there. And I don't respect this because, foundational Black Americans have contributed the most to American society. We built the infrastructure and never were compensated. And I can't let a lie go unchecked like this because a lie that goes unchecked and is able to fester around becomes the truth. So we got to nip this thing in the bud ASAP. And no disrespect to Latinos, because we know we got some good ones out there, but foundational Black Americans build America, and that just is what it is. The rest of these people are Johnny come laters. We fought to make it so that people would have a lane to come and flee to, because we knew that injustice on any kind, even if it wasn't done to us, was bad. These other groups of people never fought no injustice. They just piggyback off the backs of what our ancestors built, and I can't let this slide, them trying to flip, remix, and colonize us out the history textbooks and take our history and make it their own. So I got the audio and the video of John Leguizamo putting these lies out here, and we're going to slowly walk through and talk about and debunk his lies. Fair use.
It's incredible how we are kind of living sometimes in a parallel shadow world, which is crazy because we've always been the largest ethnic group in America.
They've always been the largest ethnic group in America. This is a bold-faced lie, John Leguizamo, and you telling it.
Oldest ethnic group after indigenous people.
The oldest ethnic group, another bold-faced lie. This man is lying through the skin of his teeth, and even he knows it because the oldest ethnic group in America is foundational Black Americans. Black people have always been in America. It's a misnomer that all of us came on ships. A lot of us were already here. We got native ancestry in us as well. And this is why we got to stop as Black people, foundational Black Americans, running with that black and brown. Remove that from your vocabulary because these other groups of people give a damn about playing on a team with foundational Black Americans. Foundational Black Americans are the only group of people that we got, the only group of people that we need. So stop trying to incorporate everyone else into our struggle. These other groups of people give a damn about us, and truth be told, it weakens us. We're a standalone group. We need no allies. Foundational Black Americans against the world. But let's continue.
And yet we're invisible. The genesis of this show was my son was doing a history project in 8th grade, and I wanted to help him, be a good dad, and get some brownie points for my wife. And I saw there were no Latino contributions in his history textbook. So I became super sleuth dad and bought all the books on Amazon on Latino history, went on the sites. And what I learned was so mind-boggling that it changed my DNA and my chromosomes immediately. When I learned that Latinos fought in every war Americans ever had.
See, that's us that fought in every war. He just trying to flip and remix and take our history and make it their own. And we can't let this slide because it's a slap in the face to us and a direct slap in the face to our ancestors. And I don't let no one disrespect my ancestors. But let's continue.
Talking about the American Revolution, Civil War, World War I, World War II. 10,000 unknown Latino patriots fought in the American Revolution out of 80,000 total troops. We were 1 in 8. We funded the American Revolution. Cuba, Mexico, and Spain gave $2 million to George Washington. We helped build the railroads all the way to the Pacific after our Asian brothers and sisters were kicked out. Then we built the whole infrastructure for the West and the South.
They built the whole infrastructure. This is a bold-faced lie. They built the railroad. See, I'm telling you, these people are trying to erase our history and take it and make it for themselves. These people are obsessed and infatuated with foundational Black American history. They want it for their own. This is why we got to gatekeep and protect our culture and not let everybody in like the past that we used to do in the past, accept everybody into our culture, because these people are come in and try to wipe out our culture and accept it for they and make it their own. We can't let this kind of stuff go unchecked, family. But let's continue.
West, up west. And then I learned the sad parts where from 1830 to 1930, 6,000 Latinos were lynched, burned alive, and shot. Then we were massacred. We were redlined. We were segregated. We were experimented on. Our women were.
See, he's redlined, segregated. He's trying to flip our history and make it their own, trying to colonize and steal our history right out from under us. We can't let this kind of stuff go unchecked, fam. I'm telling you, these kind of people come in and play this revisionist history game and wipe us out the history textbooks. And I can't let this slide because our ancestors, everything he's trying to claim they did, that was the contributions our ancestors, laid the groundwork and was out there on the forefront fighting for. See, our ancestors were so selfless that we were fighting not only for our needs and interests, but for the needs and interests of people abroad. And looking back on it, hindsight, our ancestors did the best they could. They thought they could do at the time, but we shouldn't have fought for all these other groups of people because they're so disrespectful to try to colonize and erase our ancestors and us out the history textbooks and put themselves in our place. I don't respect it, and I don't respect John Leguizamo. I think he's a lying, deceptive tether, and he's a tether because the characteristic traits he's displaying. But let's continue.
Were sterilized unbeknownst to them in California in the early 1900s. And yet, we were the first to fight against segregation in 1911.
The first to fight against segregation, we were the people out there fighting against segregation and fighting for civil rights. Like I said, we were a selfless people. We fought for the rights of not just our people, but the interests of people abroad because we knew that, injustices, even if it wasn't done to us on any front, was bad. It could have a trickle down effect. White Latino people were fighting for inclusion in the white society. They were cool with the status quo. They were like, let me in. I'm part of you. I want to be white, accept me. They weren't trying to fight no racism, white supremacy, and trying to fight for no civil rights. We as foundational Black Americans were out there on the front lines, taking the hits and the blows, protesting with the civil rights and stuff like that, fighting white supremacy tooth and nail. These other people ain't got a claim like our claim. This is why they're so fixated and infatuated on stealing our history and claiming it as their own. And we can't let it slide. But let's continue.
Estes family in Denver, Colorado, and they won. Sylvia Mendes fought against segregation in 1940 and won, paved the way for Brown versus Board of Ed. We made great contributions. Right now, we're at the biggest inflection point. After all that oppression and tragedy, we contribute three.
These people were fighting for acceptance in the white society. They weren't fighting to knock down no system of racism, white supremacy, and no civil rights. They were fighting for white inclusion. They were cool with the status quo, just as long as they people wasn't catching no blowback. And many Latinos are still documented as white up until this day on their paperwork. They were fighting for white inclusion, nothing more, nothing less. But let's continue.
$0.6 trillion to the GDP yearly. If we were our own economic nation, we'd be the fifth largest nation in the world. Bigger than India, bigger than England, bigger than France, bigger than Brazil.
Yeah, stop with these lies, John Leguizamo. Your new name gonna be John Leguizamo because you running with these lies, displaying these characteristic traits that are indicative of a tether, and we can't let it go unchecked because we know all the Latino people ain't out here on this type of time, and this ain't directed at them, but this is directed at the people that's trying to steal and co-opt our history and make it their own. Flip and remix and play this revisionist history. It's not gonna go unchecked because foundational Black Americans made the lane for everyone to come to and flee to. We should have just kept the fight on ourselves because looking back, hindsight, a lot of these people are disrespectful by trying to flip and remix our history. So stop lying, John Leguizamo, and stop trying to steal and flip and remix our history and make it your own. Just my thoughts on the matter. Peace.